The quiet lake. The quiet fight. The morning had started peaceful enough. I was sitting on the weathered dock, casting my line into the lake that shimmered under the early sun. Selene was beside me, her face lit up with that rare, genuine smile I hadn't seen in weeks. We were just there for a moment, just us fishing, trying to find some peace after everything. That's when the nightmare began. Suddenly, a voice sliced through the calm, sharp and cold. "Excuse me, what do you think you're doing?" I looked up to see a woman approaching. She was late 50s, dressed to impress, her perfectly styled blonde hair and designer sneakers making her look like she belonged to a different world. Her tablet was in her hand, eyes cold and calculating. "Morning," I started, trying to keep my voice steady. "Just enjoying some fishing with my daughter." I offered a friendly hand, hopeful she'd see we weren't causing trouble, but she ignored it. Her gaze fixed on us like we were intruders. "Fishing is prohibited here," she said flatly, tapping her tablet aggressively. "This lake is private property. I'm Karen Wellington, HOA president. I'll have to issue a violation, $500. Fine." My stomach clenched. "There must be some mistake," I said calmly. "The realtor said we could fish here. We've been careful, catch and release, clean up, nothing wrong with that." She scoffed, eyes narrowing. "Rules changed last month. You should have received an email." She flicked her tablet toward me, showing some document with a title. I barely registered, Amendment to Recreational Use. But I knew I hadn't received any email and the date on the document was recent, just a few weeks ago. "Why ban fishing now?" I asked, feeling a cold anger rise. "This lake is stocked and we're not hurting anyone." Her dismissive glance at our gear was cruel. "Environmental concerns," she said, voice dripping with disdain. "Hooks can hurt wildlife. Complaints about fish smell. Plus, not everyone wants to see bait and lines while they sit outside with their coffee." I saw her survey us, her lips curling just slightly. This wasn't about rules, it was about control. I felt the weight of her gaze, the thin smile she wore like armor. "Look, we're practicing catch and release and we clean up," I insisted. "We're just trying to heal here." Her face hardened. "This community has standards. We maintain a certain atmosphere." She paused, eyes flicking to Selene, then back to me with a smirk. "New residents sometimes struggle to adapt to our culture. People who are more accustomed to different neighborhoods." That's when Selene sniffled, tears brimming in her eyes. This was supposed to be our sanctuary, our quiet place to forget. But Karen's words crushed that hope. I placed my arm around her trembling shoulders. "We'll pack up," I said quietly. "Please send me the violation details. We'll read the rules again." Her victorious smile returned. "Good. I'll be looking forward to your email, and I suggest you read it carefully this time." She turned and walked away, heels clicking on the grass like a judge dismissing a plea. As we gathered our gear, Selene wiped her eyes. "Dad, why was she so mean? We weren't hurting anything." I had no good answer for her. Some people just liked rules more than they liked people. I looked out at the lake, the peaceful water now tainted with her words. That little moment of joy was gone, replaced with a bitter taste. Later that day, I checked my email, searched my spam folder. Nothing. No notice, no warning. Just silence. That's when I started digging deeper into the HOA. What I found was shocking. Karen Wellington had been HOA president for 8 straight years. Her day job? Owning a small but fancy real estate company specializing in luxury communities. And her social media showed her hosting lakeside parties, swimming, drinking, enjoying the very lake she just banned me from fishing in. The real kicker? The lake was listed as community property, owned by the developers, not the HOA. Yet Karen acted like she owned it all. That night, I looked out my window again. Karen and her friends were gathered at the gazebo, laughing, drinking wine. I clenched my fists. She was playing the rules, twisting them, hiding her true intentions. I needed to know who really owned that lake. Because what I'd seen so far, her power, her arrogance, was just the surface. Beneath it all, there was something darker, something she didn't want anyone to find out. This was just the beginning. I watched her storm out of the house, seething with fury, knowing this wasn't over. My phone buzzed in my pocket. I grabbed it quickly. Merrick. "They're on to us," he whispered. "Your violation notices, they're escalating. She's trying to push you out, make you sell." I clenched my jaw. Not happening. I stared at the lake, still shimmering in the moonlight. I had bought it. It was mine now. And Karen? She'd just made her biggest mistake. The next morning, I didn't bother with the usual routine. Instead, I slipped out quietly, heading straight for the community office. I needed proof, something that would turn her plans upside down. I found the old HOA files tucked in a dusty corner, documents, maps, emails. But what caught my eye was a hidden clause buried deep in the paperwork. It said the lake was owned by the original developers, Meridian Development, and that the HOA only had leased recreational rights, a lease set to expire in less than 30 days. That meant legally the lake wasn't under her control. Not anymore. I snapped photos of the documents with my phone. My pulse quickened. That's when I saw the real twist, an email from Meridian's lawyer confirming the lease was being renegotiated, and that Meridian was desperate to sell the lake quickly, before the contract expired, before anyone caught on. I felt the adrenaline surge. Karen had been lying all along. She didn't own the lake. She was trying to steal it. And I had the proof. I hurried back home, my mind racing. I had the leverage now, enough to turn her entire game against her. I knew what I had to do next. Just then, my doorbell rang. I opened it to find Merrick and Samuel, both looking serious. Merrick handed me a flash drive. "I recorded her last night," he said quietly. "She was trying to bribe me, offering to clear violations if I helped her buy the lake." My stomach dropped. This wasn't just about rules anymore. It was about greed, lies, and a woman willing to destroy anyone who stood in her way. I looked at the drive, then at them. It's time to end her game. I've got the proof. Now, we make our move. That night, I prepared everything. Legal, notices, security cameras, my plan. I knew Karen would try to fight back, but I was ready, because this wasn't just a fight over a lake. It was a battle for the soul of our community, and I was about to take her down. I stood at the edge of the lake, watching the last of the crowd disperse in chaos. Karen's face was frozen in shock, as I held up the deed clear and undeniable. "It's mine now," I said softly, voice steady. "All of it. Every inch of this water, every shoreline, belongs to me. You lost, Karen." Her eyes darted wildly, trying to find a way out, but the truth was in my hand. I could see the panic creeping into her expression, the realization that her entire plan was crumbling. I took a step closer, the weight of the deed heavy in my grip. "You thought you could cheat the system, manipulate everyone, and get away with it," I continued. "But the truth always finds a way. You lied, you cheated, and you tried to steal this community's heart. Not anymore." Suddenly, sirens wailed in the distance. I had called the police earlier, an anonymous tip based on the recordings Merrick had secretly taken. Now they were here, flashlights piercing through the shadows. Officers stormed in, arresting Karen and her cronies, their faces twisted with disbelief. But the real shocker was still coming. As the officers took her away, the land around the lake suddenly shifted. An official notice appeared on the large community board. The lease had been terminated weeks ago, and the lake was no longer under her control. It belonged to the new community trust, set up to protect it forever. In that moment, I pulled out my phone and pressed record. I had one last thing to say. "Karen, Wellington was never the owner. She was a thief hiding behind lies, pretending to serve the community while secretly planning her own profits. But the truth caught up with her. The lake isn't hers to take anymore, it belongs to everyone. And now, thanks to justice, it will stay that way, free and open, forever." As I spoke, the sky above the lake lit up with the dawn's first rays. The water sparkled brighter than ever, clearer, healthier. The community gathered around, silent but watching, realizing that the nightmare was finally over. And then I turned away, knowing I had done what no one thought possible. I had taken back what was stolen, shattered the lies, and changed the rules forever. Because sometimes the greatest power isn't in controlling everything. It's in standing up and reclaiming what's rightfully yours. The lake wasn't just water anymore. It was a symbol, a promise, that no matter how dark the night, justice always finds a way to shine through. And Karen Wellington? She would never come back from this. Not in this community. Not in this lifetime. Because I had won. Not just for me, but for everyone who still believed in fairness. And as the sun rose higher, I knew this story would be told for generations. An unforgettable reminder that truth, courage, and relentless resolve could topple even the most powerful lies.